Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. Please subscribe to my channel. Tap the notification bell. I'd appreciate it. I'd appreciate it majorly. So, I just wanted to review some stuff. There's so little new information out there on the missing persons case. This Colorado mom, Suzanne Morphew, who went missing on Mother's Day, May 10th, over 2 months ago. It's now July 27th, so basically a month and a half, 2.5 months ago, and there's still no sign of her. The latest news was this story about a neighbor, and it's not totally, terribly, revealing in any way, of a neighbor hearing loud noises. A neighbor to the job site where they were digging for several days, I think for 3 straight days. The FBI was there. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation was there. I think the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office, Salida Police Department digging. And what led them to there, we still don't know. And maybe maybe the activity that was there that this neighbor reportedly heard the night before Suzanne Morphew went missing. She reports that she heard loud noises like machinery running in the middle of the night that woke her up, and she heard it for like a half hour or so. Didn't get out of bed or didn't go outside to investigate further. But she just describes it and that it was unusual that time of night to hear heavy equipment running. She assumes that maybe they were ordered to move the equipment for whatever reason, so that's why they were doing that, or we have no idea, But I mean, it seems to maybe kind of match the story that's been provided by the husband, Barry Morphew, at least in this interview, in terms of how he describes he had a job in Denver, and that's where he was the day or night, evening that Suzanne Morphew went missing, and that he wanted to get up there Sunday, get his guys up there to get him situated before they would begin the job, I believe, Monday morning. And possibly what she heard was him retrieving equipment that he would be hauling up to whatever job site in Denver, that he potentially had, and maybe that's just what that is. So I continue to question this quite a bit, and there's just so little information to go by. But so I just wanted to review a few of the things that kind of bother me about it. This, and actually in this latest news story by Lauren Scharf of Fox 21 for Colorado Springs, who seems to be has been covering the story pretty deeply, and she's reporting on the woman, the neighbor that's next to the property at County Line Road, 105, and Vanderveer Road, that's east of Salida. Far from where Suzanne Morphew went missing. The only reason they were led to that job site is because it's reportedly, Barry Morphew did work there. He laid the dirt before they poured the foundation, something like that. And maybe they were led to that site, where they dug because of, what she reports, the neighbor hearing the noise in the middle of the night, etc. But she also spoke with Tyson Draper, who's some YouTuber. He's got a small channel. And according to this report, he was visiting a friend nearby Maysville. So he just managed to just go over there and sort of look around and check it out and see what was going on. And ends up talking to Barry Morphew in sort of what Barry believes is an off-camera moment where he thinks he's just basically talking to another guy, which he is, but he doesn't know he's being recorded, supposedly, and maybe that means he's unguarded, and he's just telling you the unbridled truth of what he believes may have happened, And as I've said in my previous videos about this, some people suspect that maybe this was arranged or choreographed in a way to allow Barry to tell his story, in what seems to be, an unguarded moment, but without having to talk to a reporter officially, in a much different setting where he could be questioned and and have I don't know, where he could just go a lot differently, speaking to a reporter who's there to investigate. So, and whether or not that's that's the case, I have no way of knowing that, but I will say that it's odd. It is. And I've watched these videos. He has his own, and then he allowed another YouTuber to basically transcribe it. And, and you got the trucks going on in the background. You can't hear everything that's said. Most of it you can. And he basically explains. He explains where he was and how he went up to Denver for a job that he had up there. And he wanted to get up there and get his guys situated Sunday night before, I think, presumably they would begin the job on Monday morning. And so that kind of does, that does match up with what the neighbor hears the heavy equipment at the job site the night before. Maybe he's getting his equipment and getting it ready to haul it away to the job site in Denver. Anyways. In my last video, I basically said I had a number of problems. Some of it. One of the big things was the Mother's Day. The fact that Suzanne Morphew was going to be alone on Mother's Day, and in this video, he's explaining that he had asked his wife if it would be cool if he did that. He kind of answers all your questions, that you have, that a person might have, in this video. He does, and. He explains that he talked it over with his wife, that the daughters are going to be home. They were returning from a trip. Turns out that they were a little late from returning from that trip. They had texted their mom Happy Mother's Day because they were running late, and then they never heard back from the mother, and that's kind of what set this chain reaction into action, where they didn't hear back from the mom, so they contact a neighbor to go check on her. She does. Sees the car's there, but the bike's missing. So she calls Barry, and then he, they're both a little worried, the neighbor and Barry, so they call the police just to be on the safe side. But he lays that all out for you here. And I was explaining that I found that a little strange for a pretty devoutly Christian family, from what I could tell, to not be with their mom on Mother's Day, even though the daughters were supposed to be, they had planned to be, and had just been running late because they were on some trip together somewhere, and God only knows. I mean, that sounds all just fine, and, that very well could be. The daughters are, from what I understand, one is a junior in college, and goes to a university nearby Colorado, and part of the move to Colorado from Indiana, was right around that time. She was finishing high school and starting college here, and so they right at the time that they were making the move. Another one of the daughters is still younger, even though they look. It's hard. From what I can tell, they're 5 years apart in age. She's a junior in college, and the other daughter's a sophomore in high school. And that's 5 years. But there's, the sophomore not being home on Sunday, on Mother's Day, for a pretty devoutly Christian family, and the father being away, and then the other daughter being away too. A college kid, they just want to party. So, but it just seemed off to me, and it still does. So that remains a question for me. At one point, when a lot of people were making various accusations, and they do that on YouTube, and it's hard not to get swept away in it on Facebook and so forth. There was basically a few employees of Barry's that I think may have been questioned by the police, and people possibly, we don't even know, and maybe at some point, people were saying that they were in custody, that Barry was in custody and 2 or 3 other individuals. And I think the 2 or 3 other individuals were people that worked for him, and whether or not those are the same people that Barry explains he was getting situated up in Denver, like the people that he says work for him, his guys, whether these are the same people that maybe talked to the authorities in the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office and what people were speculating that were in custody, I don't know. Okay, but people were making all sorts of accusations on one of the individual's Facebook page because he indicates that he worked for Sunset Farms, landscaping, he calls it. I think the company that Barry started is called Sunset Farms LLC. And at the time, people were just flat out saying very awful things on his Facebook timeline and in his posts, more or less just accusing him of being a part of it. And then there was also people defending him, and there was a person in there that was defending him repeatedly. And actually, one of those persons said, that he knows he couldn't have had anything, that this employee of Barry Morphew's couldn't have had anything to do with her because he was with her at the time, with this employee at the time. And that person didn't, their Facebook account was, sort of an anonymous account. It didn't have their real name. It had some strange name that the person obviously made up. And I later learned that it was that person's sibling, and I think it's his younger sibling. But all those posts from that person's, the employee of Barry Morphew and his younger sibling defending him on his timeline, saying he couldn't have had anything to do with him because I was with him at the time. They're gone. They've been taken down obviously by the individual. And whether or not, his older brother just said, don't do that, whatever. The police are going to come and question you because if you say silly things like that, or I don't know why, but they're gone now, And so, but that kind of went nowhere. And those two or three people, there was some other woman that I think too was heavily wrapped up in these accusations, who I believe was an employee of Barry's too, and people were saying that she was having an affair with Barry, and that some friend of Suzanne Morphew had texted somebody accusing her of being his mistress or something. I don't even know. I can't remember. It's not terribly important. That's pretty much the extent of it. The only other odd thing is that same employee of Barry's that was basically, saying, prayers for the family, and this person that people were accusing of having something to do with her disappearance, and very well may have been one of the employees that Barry says he was getting situated up in Denver Sunday night, and so that's how he knew so quickly that she was missing and so forth. And whose younger sibling was basically, defending him on his timeline, whose posts, the younger sibling's posts are gone. He has another sibling too. And I don't know, for some reason, his other sibling, it's three brothers. He has a couple other siblings, but three brothers that are closer in age, that are, grew up in the area of Salida, Colorado, who, for some reason, he's not friends with on Facebook. And all of his he has 14 different friends with the same last name as himself, that are basically all his family, some of them immediate family and extended family. But that person, his other brother, not the younger one that was defending him, is not one of his friends on Facebook. And he's also not friends with all of the rest of his family members. And that also seems peculiar to me. I understand that I'm not, these things, I'm talking in very large generalities because I can't name these individuals, and but that seemed weird to me as well. And that's pretty much the story there. And that's it, dude. I continue to believe, I should have said this at the beginning of the video, I continue to think that, I think Suzanne Morphew is alive. I do. And I don't know why I exactly think that. I mean, I have some reasons, and that it's just pointless to try to defend. But that's my sense, is that she's still alive. And that's the story there, man. That's the story there. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. And I will see you in the next video. Later, man.